Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm super excited to dive into today's conversation with Jenny Cruger, Allison Craig, Kim Box, the creators of the Motherhood Anthology. It's an online educational platform for motherhood portrait artists. Together, the TMA team brings to the table decades of photography experience, business ownership, and entrepreneurial endeavors. TMA offers a free community filled with over 5,000 supportive, inclusive, warm, real, and generous community members who believe not in the gatekeeping of best practices, but in the arm linking and collaboration of fellow artists. Their Instagram and Facebook page boasts over 20,000 followers. Additionally, their podcast titled The Motherhood Anthology podcast currently ranks in the top 3 of podcasts globally with a listen score of 34 and over 10,000 downloads in its short 6 months of life. I have been following these ladies for years, and Jenny's actually taught with us at the Milky Way before, so I am super excited to dive into today's conversation with them. So without further ado, welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would love to know how you all found each other and really how the Motherhood Anthology came to be. And we'll start with you, Kim.
Oh, I'll say that Jenny's the what do they say? I'm going to say this wrong. The OG, is that what the young folks say?
I love it.
No, she's the founder. She's the one that started it all. I think Allison and I both were just big fans of Jenny and her work. And for me, Jenny was hosting a retreat at the beach, and I had been in photography for, gosh, I'm the oldie here, but I'd been in photography for 15 years and just wanted to meet Jenny, and so I came to the retreat. And at the same time, I was kind of, like I said, I'd been in photography for a while, and so I was kind of diversifying a little bit, and was interested in this whole wave of memberships and courses. And Jenny and Allison at that point had a Facebook group online with lots of followers, and as we got to know each other, we just started talking about this idea of putting this community together, and it's been really great.
I love that. So Jenny, I want to hear, how did you come up with the idea for the Motherhood Anthology?
So I think for a while I had been teaching for a bit, like you said, with Milky Way, with Clickin' Moms, on my own, all sorts of places. And I kind of like had this group of photographers that we were doing similar things and talking about similar things. And we just kind of formed that Facebook community that we still have today, that free community. And then Kim came on and we added the membership and whatnot. Allison likes to say that when she found me before that, she made me be her friend.
I love that.
We met, well, I'll let her tell that story, but she basically forced me to be her friend, and it worked out okay.
I love that. I love it. So Allison, that's to you. I want to hear how you got involved here.
So I was at a point in my career where I really wanted to give an experience to my clients. And I remember I was Googling torn edge prints because I loved the way that they looked. And I stumbled across an image that Jenny had posted. And so I reached out and I was like, hey, would you tell me what lab you ordered these from? And she was super kind. She wrote back and told me. And then I was like, going through her website and saw that she offered mentoring. And so I wrote her back and like chastised her for giving away that information for free. And was like, why didn't you charge me and like tell me that you did mentoring? And so I drained my bank account then because, of course, I didn't even know what a cost of doing business was. Right. I was not profitable. It was horrible. I was a mess, but I knew I wanted to do better. So I drained my bank account and I think at that point, Jenny, you were like doing an online magazine or like an online PDF booklet maybe.
I think so. I think it was like an online book of like just everything that I knew and did. Yeah. And then a private group.
Yes. So I literally consumed that entire thing in one night and changed immediately. And Jenny and I are complete opposites. So it's a good balance. And yes, I did make her be my friend. So.
I love that so much. I love it. And so we're recording from all different locations. So like you've created this enterprise and this business from all different areas. So where are you all located? And do you get together very often?
So my studio is in Houston, Texas, but I live in Asheville, North Carolina. So I, a year and a half ago, moved my family to Asheville, and then I commute monthly. And yes, actually mine and Jenny's kids are best friends. And so we're getting together next month because our kids are forcing us to.
I love it.
If we go more than like 6 months without the kids seeing each other, we have to plan something. So, and then we do get together. We try to get together, the three of us or the TMA team, to kind of like do planning. It's been hard the past couple of years, obviously, but
absolutely,
we definitely like try to all meet up and do some planning and do some stuff and whatnot.
We need that right now.
I love that.
We do. We really do, actually.
It's true. Well, what I don't know, I'm sure I've shared this on the podcast before, but with the Milky Way, I have a business partner, Erin, and we've been together for, 13 years. And it's just incredible. Like when you have a running mate in your business, it is so much easier not only to like get things done, but to stay accountable. Like when you are a solopreneur, as you know, like probably in all of your photography businesses, when you have someone like, you're probably like me, when it comes to TMA, you're like, I get this done a lot quicker than I do because everyone's waiting for me and I don't want to be the bottleneck.
Right. Exactly.
And I think for the three of us, I think we all bring something kind of different to the table, and that makes for a good partnership too.
Absolutely. I love that. So I would love to hear about the strengths and what you do bring to each other. Jenny or Kim, we'll start with you.
I'll just, like I said, I'm more behind the scenes. Like I am in our community and not as active as Jenny and Allison because they are, like I said, I've been shooting for 20 years. And so I have, I also own Indie Print Co. and Indie Film Lab with a different business partner. And so I think I paid my dues I still occasionally shoot, but not as much anymore. And so I'm more behind the scenes with the podcast and, like I said, the membership, the back end of the membership. And, but Jenny and Allison are so involved daily in our community.
All right. So unfortunately, we had a little weather roll in and Kim, unfortunately, is not able to continue this conversation with us, but we are going to continue with Allison and Jenny. So let's keep going, ladies. So I want to dive into a conversation about brand as a business and how to really create a business brand that aligns with who you are. Because I think so many of us just get stuck in our branding and how we've set it up at the beginning, and we may not be in love with it still. So what's your advice on that?
Yeah, I think when you first, at least in my experience, when like you're first starting out with your photography business, you see all these other things that people are doing. You're like, that's successful. And you like pull from that, but you never like take the time to really dig in deep to like what is authentic to you and like what you want to represent and what's different. And I think that step is missed so much. And when you can either go back and do it or do it from the beginning, you set your business up to be like just different enough from everybody else's.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time that people really struggle with keeping it cohesive, like where it's like the same font or like the same colors. So what advice do you have when they are just kind of like just grabbing everything and how to just keep things on brand?
So I think, Jenny and I, we will take people through like exercises where if you just grab a few pictures that they've taken that they absolutely love and figure out like what you love about that. And so that might be, certain colors that like happen to be in the same pictures from same sessions, that maybe that's like authentic to you and like what you really like. But so often, whether it's colors or fonts or it's like products that you're offering, people try to just offer everything or show everything. And clients really don't realize that might be like what's deterring them or what makes them love a photographer, but it is. And so, if you can really just simplify and focus on like, 2 to 3 colors and 1 or 2 fonts, it's going to make your brand so much more impactful, and the clients they might not even realize that, like, that's why they love you, but they're going to love you more because it's not overwhelming to them.
Totally. You know what it kind of reminds me of is like, I love shopping. Like, I love shopping. But I also love the idea of a capsule wardrobe. Because when you have too many, like, what happens is I have this closet full of these amazing clothes that I love, but yet I will wear yoga pants every day because I get so confused and overwhelmed with what to put on. So I think it's like almost like creating a capsule wardrobe for your business brand of like, these are the things that go together and these are the things that I only use.
And consistently like using them over and over again. Cause like it's, it's the same thing. I love shopping too. And I will continually buy like the same things over and over again. I'm like, well, I need it from this brand and I need it from this brand. And like, I don't have enough like black linen pants for the summer. So like, I need 10 more pairs. But like, but you're still buying the same thing because like that is what you love and what you like. And so knowing those things for your business and continuing to repeat them over and over again really builds that like brand recognition for your clients.
Totally. Like, are you like me and we'll get like the same thing in like all the colors?
Only black and white and brown.
Only black and white.
Only the two colors. But I will buy like 20 different white shirts that are cut the same, but they're all the same, really.
Yeah. I love that. Same. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about money. And I know this is a point where many of us really want to dive our head into the sand. So can you share why it's so imperative to know your cost of doing business? Allison,
oh man, this is like what me and Jenny preach about in the group. We talk constantly about cost of doing business and how if you do not know your numbers, like whether you've been in business for a year or for 10 years, you have to have an idea of that. Otherwise, you could just be operating in the red and be oblivious to it. So anytime that someone joins our group and asks, you know, what's the first thing we do? We always say, have you run your numbers? Yeah. Because you have to know.
Yeah. And so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper because a lot of listeners and a lot of new beginning photographers don't even know what running your numbers means. Mm-hmm. So can you dive a little deeper on what to include in running your numbers?
Yes. So, or Jenny, do you want to answer?
Either way. Go ahead.
Okay. So we have a worksheet that we've created, but really you can Google like a cost of doing business worksheet, and it's just going to take into account your expenses, which you need to include every single expense and really overestimate. And we always tell people, you know, while you can think in the now, you really should think like 3 years ahead so that you're not having to constantly just raise your prices again and again. So include your expenses, and you're going to include a salary for yourself so you could actually pay yourself. And then you're going to factor in from that, like, do you want to include a session fee? You're going to include how many sessions you want to shoot a year. And then it's going to sort of, you know, based on what worksheet you use online, it'll sort of work backwards and tell you what you need to charge per session in order to be profitable. So bottom line is you need to factor in all of your working expenses and how much you want to work, and that you actually need to pay yourself, because I did not pay myself for a very long time.
Same.
And there is no point in working if you're not making money. You wouldn't do that at any other job, so you shouldn't do it if you're self-employed.
No. And I think, you know, learning how to stick to a budget is such like a hard lesson that I really had to learn that one the hard way. Like,
well, there's so many
not just spending everything on the client closet because I wanted to.
Yeah, there's so many shiny things that you can buy. Yes, that's me. But thankfully, I still include it all in my cost of doing business. So I'm accounting for it, but it's not cheap. But there's so many things you can buy. And every time you buy something, you really have to ask yourself, like, is this thing going to make me more money? And is my business going to go further because of it and benefit? Are my clients going to even notice if I do this? And really take into account those expenses. And if you're already like super low price, try to cut some of those expenses. You know, there's only a few ways that you can make more money, and that's, you know, lower your costs and expenses, raise your rates, or work more. And there's only so much work we can do or should have to do. You shouldn't have to do even 5, 6, 10 sessions a week to make a reasonable salary at all. So
no, it's really hard. It's hard to watch a lot in the communities too, because you see all these new photographers coming in, and of course, like it's like there's so many mixed messages in the industry of like, well, you're not ready to charge yet, so don't take anybody's money, but you have to charge something because you're undercutting the industry. So they get so confused about what to even do. And I think like, gosh, like to be like someone who is just starting out, like it's hard. It's hard for them because like what do you do? You know, but beyond like crunching your numbers. And when we first started, there really wasn't a whole lot of information beyond, I think, like Easy as Pie. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, right? Like beyond Easy as Pie. And then that was setting us up for in-person sales. And not everybody wants to do in-person sales because there's so many different ways to run a business, right?
Exactly.
So I just think it's so fascinating. And even like when you see in groups, like there's so much hive mind, like they're trying to outsource their thinking and say, okay, well, what do you guys think I should charge for additional like files? And you're like, well, you got to crunch your numbers.
Right? Like what I charge, it doesn't really matter to you. It's funny because like no other industry would have groups of people going like, hey, what should I charge for this? Like no other business starts out having no idea that they're supposed to use those expenses and their costs and whatnot and like what they need to make and taxes too. Accounting for paying like, you know, around 20 to 30% of your gross revenue just right off the bat in taxes.
Yeah.
Like every other business that anyone would start automatically like starts in that area and knows to include those things, but just sadly so many photographers don't, and it's sad to see.
It is sad to see. So I love what you guys are doing and just really teaching everyone how to run their numbers, run their cost of business, and figure things out, because I'm sure many of you have worked for next to nothing, and when you actually sit down and crunch your numbers, how heartbreaking it is that you have missed soccer games or birthday parties because you're out shooting a session for nothing. Yeah, and it hurts. It hurts looking back because we only have so many years with our littles, right? And you don't want to do it for free.
Lisa, I think so, and I think maybe you can relate, having been in the business for a while too, but like so many of the years that I was shooting, just felt like a rat on a wheel, just like hustling because I was the breadwinner in my family, and so I just couldn't stop. Yeah. And that, I think for a lot of us, causes anxiety and burnout. And I had a guest on our podcast a few weeks ago, Shauna Skidmore. I'm not sure if you know Shanna, but
no, I don't.
She's a finance girl, and she said, we all need to know our enough number, because when you know how much you have to have, what's enough, that gives you so much peace of mind, to rest or to take a break. But if you don't know your number, then you just have to keep going.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really good advice.
That's really good advice. For me, I think my breaking point was it was probably 2019, and I had scheduled and booked 87 holiday mini sessions over a 4-week period. And I was charging roughly around $500 per session. So, I mean, it sounds like it was profitable, right? This girl spent so much money on props, on sets, on backdrops, that when I crunched my numbers, I came out with $5,000. And I was like, I worked that hard for $5,000. And I actually found this out. I did my numbers on Christmas Eve day. And I was just like,
so sad.
Broken.
You should have waited.
Broken.
You should have.
I was not. But I was also the biggest gift, because not only do I remember that, is that I was like, I am never doing this again. this is only 4 years ago. 4 years ago that I had to learn this the hard way. And I was like, I'm never doing that to myself again. Right? But sometimes that's how you have to learn the lesson, is it has to get that painful for you to make a change.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. So my poor depressing story. Don't do that, guys.
We all have that story, though.
No, we totally see that a lot. Or like somebody's partner will just be like fed up that,
Yep.
you know, their wife is working all the time. And not that, you know, as a wife, you shouldn't be working, but like if you're going to be working and you're going to be working hard and you're going to be working a lot, you should be making a lot of money. And so I can understand whether it's a husband or a wife, if you're gone all the time, working all the time, and you're not bringing home a decent salary, like any partner's going to be really mad.
Doing?
Yeah,
I know.
That's awful.
Like, yeah. Like my husband was not happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh dear. So I think, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, and it's about paying ourselves. Like that is like the missing ingredient that so many of us have forgotten to do. We don't even realize that we should be paying ourselves a living wage. So what advice do you have about maybe budgeting that into your pricing and working that into your pricing so it's something that you're doing immediately?
I think just when you're doing that cost of doing business, it's so easy to say that, okay, all of my expenses are paid for. So like I'm not in the red. So technically my business is profitable. But if you're not planning at least to give yourself a salary that you could, wherever you live off of. And we were looking at something about low income housing a few weeks ago and what salary qualifies based on where you are in your area, what salary you would have that qualifies you for low income housing, like government assisted housing. And some of them were like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. And so I think we aren't being 100% honest with ourselves, even to say that, okay, I want my business to be profitable. I've put in a $40,000 salary for myself. Like that sounds not terrible, right? Like after your expenses and whatnot. But turn around and say, like, can you pay your mortgage? Can you buy the things you need? Can you buy groceries? Can you live more than just like paycheck to paycheck and actually like have a restful life where you feel secure on $40,000? Like probably not anymore today in most places. And so just be really honest about that. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if you could do it. I'm not saying you have to put in a salary to make $500,000 a year, but there's got to be, you have to be reasonable with yourself and really say that if you are going to work full time, and spend all these hours in your business, you deserve to be paid like that. Like Allison said, you wouldn't go to any other job and work for not a reasonable salary.
No.
And especially if you're in a position where you don't even have to make a salary, a lot of people will say, well, my partner makes enough to pay all of our bills and I don't really need to. But then like, especially then you should even make it higher because like you don't need to work. And so for me, like if I didn't need my income, I'm certainly not leaving the house. We call it like putting your pants on, putting your bra on minimum. Like I'm not going to leave my kids and my dogs and my horse when I could be doing fun stuff with them for not a good amount of money. So even if you don't need the money to pay your bills, don't work for less than what you should need to pay your bills.
Yeah. I think then I think what often happens to photographers is that they run into this, either it's a mindset block or it's a belief that their clients will not pay them
100%.
What they need to charge. And so how do you get around that with your students to show them that your clients will pay this, or you need to find new clients and you will find new clients? Like, how do you get around that?
Another guest from the podcast, I spoke to this and I thought it was so great. She said, it was Kristen Sweeting. She said, rarely do people, rarely are people able to shift their mindset on their own. And I think that's what's so great about the Motherhood Anthology community is that you kind of watch this pattern of people that are just starting out or that just joined the group, and they see the people that are successful, that are charging, a sustainable price, and they're like, I could never charge that. And before long, they get enough information and courage to implement some of the things in the group that they've learned. And then, they share that, that post like, oh my gosh, my largest sale to date. And it's just fun to see the mindset shift that comes from surrounding yourself from other people that are are doing it, that
Yeah.
are successful. And so,
Yeah, it's like that proof of possibility. And what I love is like, it was so funny because I actually had this mindset too. I was like, okay, well, you know what? There's not another photographer in my city. It's a small city of maybe 80,000 people. Not another one charges more than $1,500 for a photography session. Not a single one. And I was like, I don't think I can charge that. And then I found a boudoir photographer who is packed. Rosalind is amazing. Her schedule's loaded, and she's making mint, charging like $3,000 to $5,000 per session. And in my little city, so it's almost like you need to search out that proof of possibility of someone that is actually doing it in your own city to know that it can happen for you too.
That's so funny.
Those clients are there.
In that same episode, she said, we all forget that most people are carrying around $1,000 phone in their pocket at all times. Like, people will find the money, or people will save the money for something they really want.
Yes.
So we just have to be able to deliver an experience and a product that they really want, you know?
Yeah. I think we tell ourselves so many things that just aren't true. Like you were saying, in your city, I was in one of our groups, but a different group. Somebody was really like going back and forth with me about how like, what I do is great and all, that's nice and blah, blah, blah. But like, she could never charge that where she lives. Like, never. Like, I'm like going on and on about how like, I'm insane to imply that that's even a possibility. And finally I was like, okay, well, let me just see where you live. Like, let me click on your profile and like dig a little deeper. She lived 20 minutes away from me. Like, literally 20 minutes from my front door to hers. Now, I live in a town maybe 30 minutes south of Nashville. So, like, it's not in the city, but like I market to Nashville. So I knew that like she lived 20 minutes away from that, which again is not in actually Nashville, but like you would market to Nashville. And I was like, you live 20 minutes away from me. If I can charge what I'm charging, there may be other reasons you can't do that or don't want to, but like it's not a location issue. And that is rarely the issue.
No, it's
and
really...
Jenny, I love what you say about you'd rather compete with the one or two other people in your price bracket than the hundreds in the middle.
Right? Like I want to be the highest. If I'm not one of those highest, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
It's so much less competition, and it's so those middle people are just, you're competing on price. And that's really hard. It's so much easier when you're in a higher price range.
Completely. You know what's funny? It's what happened to me is because I put my blinders on for years. And one day, and I had always been like, I'm the highest, I'm the most expensive, I'm the most expensive, I'm the best, I'm the most expensive. Just total like sassy little ego, right? And then one day I looked up, I was like, well, actually, it's been a while. Like, I wonder what everyone else charges in my city. Like, maybe I should have a look, right? I wasn't the most expensive. I wasn't at all, by a long shot. And I was like, Lisa, raise your prices, girl. What's going on here? Like, you talk about this, but you need to do this.
Right? Right. Oh my gosh.
Oi. All right.
I heard someone...
Let's go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I heard someone say one time that you want to be the photographer that people want to save for. Like,
yes.
You want them to say, when I have a baby one day, I'm going to use, Kim Box photography. Or when I get married one day, like you want to be that one that's so special that if they have to save, they'll save for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Because
that's the person, that's the consumer that I am. Like, I don't buy everything, but the things that I love, I really love, and I will save for what I really want,
Yeah, exactly. I love that. All right. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I want to know, what is the best piece of business advice you've ever been given? And we're going to start with Allison.
Man, to raise my prices. I mean, really, I started lower than this, but when I started really like booking a lot of people, I was right at $350 for a session with all digital files. And that's when I knew I was burnt out. I knew that I wanted to give like more of an experience and that I wanted to do better. And so I had the same, money blocks as everybody else. I had no idea like where to even start. But I knew I wanted to do something different. And so the best advice was, what I learned from Jenny, and I took it and ran with it and went from, $350 to, I raised my prices, but like my first actual sale was like $1,800, like overnight. And I almost choked whenever that happened and didn't look back. And now, whenever I raise my prices, back a little bit to what we were talking about, I raise them with the intentions of, if something happened tomorrow and I was like the only person working, could I sustain my family?
Yeah.
And like, like Jenny broke her leg, she had to be out for a while. Like, can her business, float that? Last May, my husband decided to like quit his job. And so I am the breadwinner now.
Yeah.
And because I approached that not with the mindset of I don't deserve a salary, but with the mindset of I deserve a salary, it was no big deal. We could afford to lose that, good salary and just survive on this. So that was probably the best advice ever given, was do your cost of doing business and actually listen to the numbers, because the numbers do not lie.
Yep. That's good advice. Jenny, how about you?
This was hard. I was actually thinking about this all night last night. I think my dad was like my biggest supporter when I first started my business, and he passed away 7 years ago, but he owned a small business like when I was little. So around the ages that my kids were when we lost him, he had me at that age when he had a small business. And he said, I wish I had the strength and just like confidence to not let clients like push me around and not let them ask for discounts and like feel like guilty for charging people money for doing a service or product, whatever it was. His business was totally different than this, but he was like, I'm just so proud that you're like charging like what you're charging, and like your clients pay it. Like, he was shocked that my clients were paying me what they did, but that allowed me to then, give my parents money and help them out. Yeah. And now that he's gone, like my mom lives with us and we pay for that. And so I'm just thankful that he like supported me and like encouraged me to not let clients really push you around and feel bad for taking their money.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thanks.
Kim, how about you?
I think I think the best advice that I was ever given probably was from my dad, similar to Jenny. He told me one time that if I was working too much, my prices weren't high enough. I think I was complaining about being tired or working all the time. And he's like, if you're working more than you want to work, your prices aren't high enough. And that always stuck with me. But I think the piece of advice that if I've had any success, I think it goes back to when I was a kid, and it was probably my mom. I showed horses as a kid, and she would always make me go to the judge after an event and ask, how could I be better? And that has always kind of followed me in my life. Like, if I want to do something, it's not so much that I copy someone, but I look for who's doing what I want to do or who's doing something really well. And then I just try to either talk to them, ask questions, figure it out, ask them. And I think that's why I love the podcast so much, because it's my excuse to get to pick people's brain.
Right.
People that it used to be that you could say, hey, would you have coffee with me for an hour and let me pick your brain? And people are too busy for that now. And so, but if you ask them, hey, would you hop on the podcast with me and let me, talk to you for a while? Sure.
Yeah.
And people love to be on podcasts. And so I think just find someone that's doing what you want to do and talk to them.
I love that. That's great advice. All right, we're ready for the lightning round?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. We're going to go Allison, Kim, and then Jenny. I'm going to have you all respond. Okay, like that. Okay, coffee or tea?
Coffee. All day, every day.
Equal. That's scratch.
I love it. I love it. Most luxurious vacation you've ever been on?
Luxurious.
I had a hard time with this one. Like, luxury.
Probably St. Lucia. I don't know.
Nice.
Jackson Hole's probably the best vacation.
Ooh, I want to go there. We're creatures of habit. We go to Rosemary Beach every year, and like that is we make it luxury.
Love that. Favorite TV show as a kid?
You know, the first thing that popped into my head was Full House, so I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to preface this and say I'm not this old, okay? But this is still my favorite TV show, and I bet you guys have never heard of it, but it's The Waltons. Have you ever heard of The Waltons?
That? Yes.
Ooh.
I remember that.
Does make you sound a little old.
it.
Okay, Jenny, you just go watch it. It makes you feel good about life. It's that you can disconnect from the world and all is well. And it's just my peaceful, I need a brain break show.
Is it like Little House on the Prairie?
Sort of. Same
Oh,
here.
I'd like that. Oh, I'd like that.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go Friends.
Good one. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Morning.
Neither. I need like a solid 12 hours of sleep. Don't wake me up too early and like don't keep me up too late.
I love that. Go-to karaoke jam.
Oh,
You're not going to catch me and Jenny doing karaoke,
I would never.
I can tell you.
I am the extroverted
Allison.
one. No, I am the extroverted one, and I would never ever do karaoke.
I love it.
Absolutely not. But
I
if
can
I
see
did,
you.
if I did, it would probably be Britney Spears.
Love it. Love it. Okay, song you sing in the shower or your car by yourself.
I don't listen to music in the car. It's the only place that it's quiet and no one talks to me. It's the only silence I ever get.
Oh my gosh. Everyone knows that I listen to a lot of music with a lot of bass, so you don't want to know what I listen to in the car because it has a lot of four-letter words.
So good. Let's see. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I was
A
a labor
chef.
and delivery nurse. Yeah.
Chef and
So from the time I was 12, I wanted to be in the music industry on the business end. So I thought I would own a record label or be like an entertainment lawyer or something like that.
I love that. You know what's so funny is my mom called me the other day. We were just having a conversation. She's like, "Do you remember when you were 5, what you used to tell me you wanted to be when you grew up?" I was like, "No." She's like, "You were insistent that you were going to be a harp player." What?
So funny.
I just wanted to play the harp.
Do you know how to play the harp?
That's just like
Goals.
random. No, I was like insistent about it. Like I wanted a harp so bad. I asked her one for Christmas, and I was like, "Really? Like no memory of this, Mom. Like hilarious."
Nice.
I love it. What's for dinner tonight?
So, fun thing, I'm going to a party. My friend is a food blogger, and he is on Guy's Grocery Games tonight. His name's Stacy Little, Southern Bite. So, he has a watch party tonight, so I'm going to his watch party. Not sure.
Yum.
That's fun. I don't know what's for dinner tonight. I'm going to go up to the pool after this, so probably like cheeseburgers or something really easy where we don't have to think about it.
I love it. Jenny, how about you?
I don't know either. That's our 4:30 decision. Whatever my husband
Right.
decides to make or order in.
Yeah. I know. I was just looking for ideas.
Same. I don't know.
Take out. Okay. What makes your soul light up?
That's a good question.
My kids, my family, gardening, travel, outdoors. Yeah.
Definitely my kids. I feel like that's a given, though. These days, we have a new lake cabin, and so that's just my happy place. It's so peaceful, and there's something about just sitting near the water that brings a lot of peace. So I think the lake these days.
I love that. So I was going to go business wise, like moms and babies, like that connection for me. Obviously, kids and my animals.
Yeah.
Love that. So where can our listeners learn more from you, ladies?
Oh,
definitely the Motherhood Anthology on Facebook. We have a free group besides our membership, our podcast, the Motherhood Anthology podcast. They can find me. I just recently created a kimbox.com, which kind of points to Printco and Film Lab and Motherhood Anthology and the podcast and all those things. So
awesome.
So I love to end my interviews. Oh, sorry.
I didn't know if Jenny and Allison wanted to plug their websites.
No, it's okay.
Oh, no.
I mean,
I want to skip right over and tell all the things about me. And then
I was just going to do our TMA ones, but you can find, the motherhoodanthology.com will lead you to everything, and JennyCrugerPhotography.com for me, and yeah.
Yeah, lentilphotography.com for me, and the Motherhood Anthology, of course.
Love it. So I love to end my interviews just with this last question, and it is, what are you currently curious about or artistically curious about? And Jenny, we'll start with you.
Okay, that's so hard. Okay, so this is going to be so random, but we have a horse and my kids have a show coming up next month. And so I don't know if anybody knows anything about horses, but like their bridles that they wear when you ride, they have this brow band that goes across their forehead. And usually like ours are just plain leather. Well, last week I got it in my head that I wanted to get like a sparkly one. Like they make one with like gemstones and things like that. So I'm scouring the internet for like the exact one I want, because I am a good shopper, but I'm like really picky. So I looked at everything from like $50 to like $500 for this piece of leather with gems on it. Nothing I loved. So then we spent hours, the kids and I, figuring out how to just make it ourselves. And probably 10 hours of my weekend last weekend was making this brow band, like hand sewing these gems on. And it was a project, but it was so creative and it was so fun and so different than like what I'm normally doing. But that took all of my time. It was fun though.
I love that. Yeah. So fun. I love that. I love crafting. Kim, how about you?
So I'll say two things. One, the podcast. Like podcasting is a whole new thing. It's a whole new world. It's been so much fun, but it's definitely been something, there's been a bit of a learning curve. So that's actually been fun to do something different. You know, it's been photography for so long. So that's been a lot of fun. And then I'll say a little bit of a confession. So I've been the co-owner of Indie Film Lab for 10 years, and I haven't shot a lot of film. I shoot children and they move fast, and I was kind of set in my ways, and so I never really made the swing. And so now that I don't have to shoot so much for my profession, I'm having a lot of fun with film personally.
Cool.
And so that's something that's new in my life. A little, it's always been there, but that I'm enjoying more and more.
I love that. And Allison, how about you? What are you currently curious about or artistically curious about?
So not so much artistically, but moving to North Carolina from Houston, it is totally different here, and you can actually like grow things and not everything dies. So I started a vegetable garden this year. That sort of got no pun intended, but squashed. A tree fell on it. So, and almost on me. So, yes. So I feel like that sort of stopped, but I started cut flowers last year whenever I first moved to North Carolina, and those have like really taken off, and they're just starting to bloom again. So really just being able to honestly put a boundary on my work. And when I'm here in North Carolina, obviously I still work every day with, TMA and my business, but putting boundaries on those hours and then being able to get outside and do flowers and be in the garden and just play, remove myself from photography has been really nice. So, growing new things this year, and it's been fun.
I love that. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
So good to see you again.
So good to see you. Oh, my beautiful friends, I hope you have loved this conversation just as much as I have. I am sending you so much of my light and my love today and every single day. We will see you next time.